Ma'am, I'm going to need you to move, Flight Attendant Sarah Thompson said, her voice polite but laced with a subtle edge. We're prioritizing a VIP passenger for this seat. Behind her stood Michelle Obama, the former First Lady, radiant in a tailored emerald coat, her presence commanding the first-class cabin of Horizon Airways Flight 472 from Dallas to Chicago. Her eyes briefly met those of U.S. Representative Jasmine Crockett, seated in 1B, the premium window seat now at the center of a brewing storm. Michelle remained silent, her expression neutral, but a passenger nearby, clutching a coffee and sporting a pin with a progressive slogan, leaned forward. That's Michelle Obama, she whispered loudly enough for the cabin to hear. She deserves this seat. Jasmine Crockett, a rising star in Congress known for her sharp wit and unyielding principles, looked up from her laptop, her brow furrowing. She'd booked this seat months ago through Horizon's elite system, paid in full, and checked in early. As a Diamond Voyager, the airline's top-tier loyalty status. Why was her seat suddenly an issue? Before we dive into this story, drop a comment with where you're watching from, and hit that subscribe button to catch more stories of justice and resilience. Jasmine calmly reached into her bag, pulling out her Diamond Voyager card. I'm a Diamond member, she said, her voice steady, honed from years of courtroom advocacy and congressional debates. This is my confirmed seat, booked for a reason. Sarah's smile tightened, a flicker of unease crossing her face before she doubled down. I understand, ma'am, she said, glancing at Michelle Obama. But this seat is often reserved for passengers of exceptional prominence. The cabin stirred. A few passengers raised their phones, recording the exchange. Whispers spread, some identifying Jasmine as that outspoken Democrat from Texas, while others, noting her progressive record, questioned why she was being challenged. Unbeknownst to the crew, this seemingly minor dispute was about to ignite a firestorm that would rock Horizon Airways. Jasmine Crockett was no ordinary traveler. At 44, she was a U.S. representative from Texas's 30th District, a former civil rights attorney, and a vocal advocate for justice reform. Today, she was flying to Chicago for a national summit on voting rights, where she'd deliver a keynote address alongside community leaders. Seat 1B, with its extra legroom and quiet corner, was chosen to finalize her speech during the 2-hour flight. Horizon Airways, a symbol of luxury, boasted first-class seats costing as much as a mortgage payment, offering gourmet meals, noise-canceling headphones, and seats that transformed into lie-flat beds. But beneath the polish, Horizon was grappling with a failing reservation system, declining customer service ratings, and a critical need to secure federal contracts for congressional travel. Sarah Thompson, a 10-year veteran flight attendant, prided herself on catering to high-profile passengers. She assumed prioritizing Michelle Obama, a frequent flyer and cultural icon, was a safe bet, especially with vocal passengers nodding in approval. Ma'am, perhaps you'd be more comfortable in another seat, Sarah suggested, her tone softer but insistent. Jasmine paused, her fingers hovering over her speech notes. I'm sorry, she replied, her voice calm but firm. I need this seat to work. It's why I booked it. Michelle Obama stood quietly, not engaging, her silence amplifying the tension. A passenger nearby muttered, Michelle always gets this seat on this route. It's practically hers. The atmosphere grew charged. A young man in a hoodie began live streaming, his commentary laced with political jabs. This is what happens when you're too loud in Congress, he whispered. To his audience, another passenger, identifying as an activist, approached Sarah murmuring, Thank you for doing this. We'll make sure Horizon gets props online. Sarah blushed, nodding slightly, unaware that this promise would haunt the airline. The situation escalated as cabin supervisor Mark Reynolds approached, his polished uniform and authoritative stride signaling trouble. Ma'am, we need you to relocate to accommodate a VIP, he said loudly, his tone leaving no room for debate. Jasmine looked up, her gaze unwavering. I've shown my ticket and diamond card, she said. This is my seat. Can you explain? The policy I'm violating? Mark's jaw tightened. He leaned closer, his voice dripping with condescension. Perhaps you're unfamiliar with our protocols, he said. We prioritize passengers of significant influence. The cabin buzzed, with unease. A businesswoman across the aisle began recording, her footage destined to go viral. Michelle Obama remained in the aisle, her neutrality unshaken, but the pressure on Jasmine mounted. A passenger, visibly impatient, spoke up. "I've got a meeting in Chicago," she said, glancing at Michelle. "Mrs. Obama needs this seat. Let's move on." Another whispered, "She's that progressive congresswoman. Probably thinks she owns the plane." Emboldened, Mark lowered his voice, but the quiet cabin carried his words. "We can make this easy, or it'll get complicated." Jasmine's eyes narrowed, her resolve hardening. "I'm not moving," she said, her voice low but unyielding. "This is my confirmed seat." 6 words, delivered with the precision of a seasoned litigator, silenced the cabin. Mark straightened, his face reddening, and stormed to the front, grabbing the service phone with a scowl. Tension rippled through first class. Passengers typed furiously on their phones, posting updates to X. Jasmine, unfazed, returned to her laptop, tweaking her speech. 5 minutes later, the cockpit door swung open, and Captain Laura Bennett emerged, her silver hair and steady demeanor, exuding authority. Flanked by Mark and Sarah, she stopped at seat 1B. "Ma'am, we have a situation," she said, her voice calm but firm. "My crew has the authority to reassign seats for passenger comfort." Jasmine looked up, facing 3 crew members, their stance imposing. "Captain, with respect," she said, her voice clear. "I'm a Diamond member with a confirmed ticket. There's no rule requiring me to give up my seat because someone else wants it." Her words, sharp and measured, hung in the air. Mark interjected, his tone icy. "If you refuse to cooperate, we'll have to ask you to leave the flight." Jasmine's eyebrow arched, the first sign of surprise. "Are you threatening to remove me for keeping my booked seat?" she asked, her voice tinged with disbelief. The question exposed the absurdity of the situation. Before Laura could respond, the activist passenger chimed in, her voice dramatic. "This is unacceptable! Mrs. Obama is a global icon. Fix this!" Captain Laura's expression hardened. "This is your final warning," she said. "Move, or we'll call security." Jasmine slowly pulled out her phone, opening the camera app. "Let's be clear," she said, recording the crew. "I'm being threatened with removal for refusing to give up my confirmed seat due to another passenger's preference." Mark's composure cracked. "Filming isn't allowed," he snapped, reaching for her phone. Jasmine pulled back, her gaze piercing. "There's no federal law banning recording on a plane unless it disrupts crew duties," she said, her legal expertise cutting through. "I'm documenting to protect my rights." Mark froze, outmaneuvered. Heavy footsteps announced the arrival of 2 airport security officers, their presence shifting the cabin's mood to one of dread. "Ma'am," the first officer said, "you need to leave the aircraft." Jasmine remained seated, her composure unshaken. "Can you cite the policy I violated?" she asked, her voice calm but pointed. "I'm in my confirmed seat with a valid ticket." The officers exchanged uneasy glances, sensing the flimsiness of the situation. "Please gather your belongings," the second officer said, avoiding her question. Jasmine looked at Captain Laura. "Am I being removed for refusing to give up my seat?" she pressed. Laura hesitated, then said, "You're causing a disturbance." The word sounded hollow, unconvincing. Murmurs of dissent rippled through the cabin. An elderly passenger shook his head, while a young woman wiped tears, recording the scene. With quiet dignity, Jasmine gathered her belongings, closed her laptop, and stood. Michelle Obama, still in the aisle, remained neutral, her silence deafening. As Jasmine walked down the aisle, head high, a passenger whispered smugly, "Good. That seat's for Mrs. Obama. Another countered, "She did nothing wrong." A third declared, "This is all on video." The activist passenger leaned toward Mark, whispering, "Thank you. We'll make sure Horizon shines online." The words, caught on a nearby phone, would soon fuel a reckoning. In the terminal, escorted by security, Jasmine pulled out her phone, texting her chief of staff, Marcus Tate. "Removed from flight for keeping my seat. Political bias. Get the team. Ready." Her voice, in a call to Marcus, was resolute. "They picked the wrong person to mess with. This is bigger than me." The security officers, reviewing the incident report, grew uneasy. "Ma'am," one said hesitantly, "there might be a misunderstanding. The report doesn't add up." Jasmine's gaze was steel. "The misunderstanding?" "Wasn't mine," she said. "I was targeted for bias." A young woman approached, trembling. "Representative Crockett," she said. "I was in first class. I left the plane because I couldn't stay after what I saw. I recorded everything." She showed Jasmine a video capturing the entire ordeal, including the activist's promise. "This is wrong," she said, tears in her eyes. Jasmine's expression softened. "Thank you," she said sincerely. "This will help." They exchanged contacts, the woman promising to send the video. On the plane, Michelle Obama took seat 1B, her demeanor unchanged. Sarah, bowing slightly, offered champagne. "We're sorry for the disruption, Mrs. Obama," she said. In the galley, Sarah and Mark smirked. "That activist will boost us online," Mark whispered. Their confidence shattered when a radio call from Horizon's headquarters crackled through. "You knew who she was. This is a disaster." The crew's faces paled. They'd recognized Jasmine Crockett but bowed to passenger pressure, fearing backlash from progressive media. At Horizon's Dallas headquarters, CEO Elizabeth Harper was in a board meeting when PR Director Tom Nguyen burst in. "A video's gone viral," he said, breathless. "Representative Jasmine Crockett was removed from a flight for refusing to give her seat to Michelle Obama. The crew acted on passenger pressure and a promise of social media praise." Elizabeth's face drained of color. Jasmine Crockett wasn't just a congresswoman. She sat on the House Transportation Committee, influencing federal airline contracts Horizon desperately needed. "Show me the video," Elizabeth demanded. The footage was damning. Sarah's condescension, Mark's threats, Laura's weak justification, and the activist's whispered promise. "They knew she was a congresswoman," Tom said. "This could kill our contract bids." In Dallas's VIP lounge, Jasmine assembled her team. Marcus arrived with legal counsel and a media strategist. "The video's at 3 million views," the strategist reported. "It's trending on X, and news outlets are picking it up." Jasmine nodded, her voice calm. "They thought they could bully me because of politics. They're about to learn." Horizon's social media team scrambled as the stock plummeted 15%. Elizabeth took a call from Jasmine's office, her hands shaking. "Representative Crockett," she began, "we're deeply sorry." Jasmine cut in, her voice like a blade. "Your crew knew who I was and chose bias. I'm requesting an immediate meeting. This threatens Horizon's credibility for federal contracts." The boardroom meeting was chaotic, executives in disarray. Jasmine entered, flanked by her team, her presence commanding despite the morning's ordeal. The video played, silencing the room. "This isn't just about me," Jasmine said. "It's about every passenger facing bias. I demand the crew's suspension and a review of Horizon's federal contract eligibility." Elizabeth pleaded for leniency, citing union rules, but Jasmine was firm. "Accountability or investigation," she said. A financial analyst burst in. "Stocks down 20%. Analysts predict 35% by close." The board relented, suspending Sarah, Mark, and Laura pending investigation. In a stark meeting room, HR Director Lisa Chen terminated the trio. "You knew." She was a congresswoman, Lisa said, playing the video. Sarah sobbed, Mark fumed, Laura slumped. You traded fairness for clout, Lisa said. They left, escorted by security, their careers in tatters. In Horizon's auditorium, Elizabeth and Jasmine addressed employees. We failed, Elizabeth said. This stops now. Jasmine spoke. Bias isn't just wrong for a congresswoman. It's wrong for everyone. Change starts here. Horizon halted operations for 48 hours, a costly move signaling reform. Weeks later, mandatory anti-bias training transformed the airline. Jasmine attended sessions, her presence driving home the stakes. This isn't punishment, she said. It's progress. The crew faced lasting consequences. Sarah, Mark, and Laura struggled to find work, their names tied to the scandal. The activist passenger, banned from Horizon, lost her job after her employer saw the video. Horizon rewrote policies, banning inducements and prioritizing fairness. Passengers noticed. Everyone's treated equally now, one said at O'Hare. 6 months later, Horizon thrived, passenger numbers up 10%, employee morale soaring. Jasmine launched the Fair Skies Initiative, a congressional fund for bias victims, offering retraining. Sarah, Mark, and Laura joined, confronting their mistakes. Sarah became a gate agent, Mark a cargo handler, Laura a trainer. I was wrong, Sarah admitted in a session. Now I speak up. Jasmine met Elizabeth to review. Progress. You've changed, Jasmine said. Keep it up. They shook hands, partners in reform. The story of Jasmine Crockett's stand against Horizon Airways shows bias's cost and accountability's power in 2025's polarized America. Her fight, amplified by a viral video, forced an airline to transform. Proving justice isn't just punishment, it's progress. Subscribe for more stories of courage and change. Where are you watching from? Let us know, and we'll see you next time.